Estamos de volta esta noite com a artista Candida Rose. Candida, so we know you went to UMass Dartmouth for music, but recently you just obtained another degree. When we say recently, it was 2 years ago. But time flies so fast that it was recently.
It just feels like recently to me.
But although it somehow involves music because of culture, but it's not in the music field per se. What was your most recent degree?
Okay, so it's a Master's of Science. The program was transnational. Let me say that again. Transnational Cultural and Community Studies. That's a mouthful. TCCS for short, we called it. And although it wasn't a music program per se, what I was able to do was I was able to use the music to sort of delve into culture a little bit more. I actually was able to go to Cabo Verde in 2016 and do some research and sort of just looking at the ties, how music ties through culture, through politics, through history, through identity. And my final project ended up, I ended up doing, it was called Cabo Americanos, The Sum of Us, which is kind of based off of my CD, right? So Cabo Americanos, The Sum of Us, exploring the Cabo Verde, United States musical connection and legacy. So, so like I said, even though it wasn't necessarily a music program, it allowed me to use music as a sort of the foundation to delve into the transnationalism of the Cape Verdean culture, and not so much the technicalities of the music, but more of the who's, the whys, the what's, you know, what were they thinking, what drove them to sort of keep our cultural heritage alive in this country. So those are the kinds of things that I sort of delved into, and I have this program that I did last year at the Whaling Museum that sort of was sort of an extension of the work that I did at UMass Boston. And it becomes sort of a multimedia presentation. So I sing, I have pictures that I'm showing. I'm showing video of some of the people as they were doing some of their work back in the even 50s and 60s. So it was fun for me, and I'm hoping that I can continue that work as I move forward.
It sounds very interesting, and I'm sure that your classmates were very excited to have you in class because they were able to be exposed to such talent at the same time.
We all were. I mean, we all had our own thing, and it was really a wonderful thing. And I'm hoping, I'm going to say this out loud because if I say it out loud, maybe it'll manifest itself somehow. But my desire is to go back to school and do a PhD in ethnomusicology. So to really kind of pull the music and pull the culture together is really what I'm hoping.
I'm pretty sure that'll happen.
That's my next. That's my next big step, I think.
Now, Candida, you recorded how many CDs thus far?
Just one.
Just one. So we actually first spoke at the time that you released that CD. I was working at WJFD at the time doing the morning show, and I remember we did a phone interview to talk about that CD, and we would play it quite often. Why only one CD?
That's a good question. You know, it's not as easy to do a CD as people might think. It takes a lot of preparation, but it also takes money. And unless you have sort of a financial sort of sponsor, like unless you have like someone who's funding you, like maybe a manager, or I know a lot of people don't deal with record labels, but you know, you have to have somebody who's sort of supporting you through the process. And I really haven't had that. Luckily, I mean, I've had my music and the work that I do, but I've had to survive. So I've been living, you know, through my music. But to be able to put, you know, money aside to try to do another CD, I mean, I've been talking about it for a long time. I was hoping that maybe if I went back to school, when I went to Cabo Verde, maybe I can start the process. So I've done a lot of talking to different people. I've delved into it a little bit. I've got some ideas. I've got some music that I'm looking at, writing as well, and some other songs that I'm thinking about putting on a next CD. So if there's anybody out there who wants to support someone who wants to do a CD.
Now, Candida, in that CD, did you write all of the songs?
Not all of them.
Not all of them.
I wrote 5. I had some musical help writing, but I also wrote some of the music. So there's one particular song that I wrote the music and the lyrics to. It's a song called Minha Terra Cabo Verde. It's I don't know, it's a song that really touches my heart. So the whole CD, right, is it tells us tells a story about my wanting to get back to Cabo Verde. It sort of tells a story of the fact that I was raised here. You know, I grew up here wanting to go to Cabo Verde, and knowing that I'm connected but had never been there before. And so this particular song says that I eat the food and I speak the language, but I've never seen my country. I have family who were born there. I have family who have died there, but I have never set foot on my country. But I have this hope that one day I will awaken on the shores of Cabo Verde. And that's kind of the sentiment that sort of goes through the songs, even the ones that I did not write. The very first song, so the song that I sang earlier, Cabo Verde Dia, that also is the same sentiment. Another friend of mine, David and Jai, actually had this great music. And this was maybe sort of 2004, 2005. And he let me hear this music, because he knew we were going to maybe start working on a CD. And I heard it, and automatically, it's just like Cabo Verde Dia just kind of sort of just came to me. And then the lyrics just flowed out. And that's how the first song came about. And again, it's just me wanting to get there.
And up until that point, you had.
And up until that point, up until when the CD was when the CD was released finally in 2006, and I had not been to Cabo Verde yet. And so almost the whole CD was almost like a prayer. Like I have songs on there called "Pa Tudo Que Vou Fazer Por Mim," which is my thank you song, and just kind of you gave me my voice, you gave me this, basically this language, and I want to share it with the whole world. I have a song on there. It was written not by myself, but written by a Cape Verdean American. That's called Amor Demais. So it's a song that's sort of dedicated. I sort of dedicated to the memory of my mom. And then I have another song that I wrote called A Carta para Minha Pai, called The Letter to My Father. That again was for the memory of my dad, who helped me with my Cape Verdean culture and learning it. So all of the songs have this thread, and even of course I recorded Saudade, which everybody knows.
And I was going to mention that. It's kind of ironic because the CD emphasizes Saudade in all of its messages for something that you've never met or right. So you longed for something you had never actually experienced, which is amazing.
Yes.
It kind of has that ironic twist there.
So I actually have given that a name. I've given that a name.
Really?
Yes. In my sort of the research, and we were talking about my going back to school, and talking to some of the older Cape Verdean musicians who kept the music alive. It's like this reverse saudade. That's what I'm calling it. It's reverse saudade. It's this longing for a place that you've never been. It's this longing for a place that you've never seen. And a lot of these the older musicians, they never got to go to Cabo Verde, but somehow they brought this music all over the place without them even ever seeing that country. So what is that? Like what drives you to keep a culture alive that you've never really been there? Like your experience is here. Your experience is not there. Your experience is here. But what is it that drives you, right? What is that? So I don't know. I started calling it reverse saudade, and that's when I do some of my educational presentations about that. I talk about this reverse saudade.
It's so complicated to explain saudade. Never mind reverse saudade at this point. So, now, Candida, when did that trip to Cape Verde finally materialize? When did it happen?
Well, thanks to my wonderful musical friend, Tiny Tavares, and I'm sure you know who Tiny Tavares is, of the famed Tavares. I was able to go with him. He was looking to go to Cape Verde. I think the brothers were supposed to go, and something, I'm not sure exactly what happened, but they weren't able to go. But he still wanted to go and represent, and he brought several of us to do background vocals. And so I was chosen to be one of those background vocalists. So I went in September of 2006 with him. That was my first time. And it was pretty cool because there were folks in Cape Verde that already knew who I was. So that was pretty cool. And then I got to go again that within maybe 7-month period in May of 2007, I got to go again with another friend of mine, Zé Rui de Pina, and his cousin To Alves. They did a concert there, and they invited me again to be sort of background vocals. But the cool thing with that was they also wanted me to sing Cabo Verdean. So me with my very broken Creole got to try to explain why the song was important to me, and so and I had this experience where they laughed at me. They laughed at me, but they weren't laughing at me. I guess they were kind of laughing with me because Zé Rui described it as it was a laugh of endearment because here I am, born and raised in the United States, but coming to them in the language of Creole and trying to communicate with them in their language and not necessarily my language, and tripping over it a little bit, but still they knew that there was a sincerity coming from my heart and a love for Cape Verde that showed through, showed through the words and showed through the music.
And now you also got to perform at the Cape Verde Jazz Fest, is that it?
Yes.
That was during that May trip, or
no,
was afterwards?
No. So I didn't get to go back again until 2013, and I wanted to go back because I'm a Cape Verdean jazz singer, so I had heard about this Creole Jazz Festival, and I'm like, well, how come nobody's inviting me to sing at the Creole Jazz Festival when I'm a Cape Verdean jazz singer, right? So, I had a very nice person sort of sponsor me to go to Cape Verde in 2013, so I can kind of be there. I think at that point, the Cape Verdean Jazz Festival, a Creole Jazz Festival, was only maybe a year or two old. Okay. And so I wanted to be there and be in the midst of what was going on. And maybe I had heard that they do sort of jam sessions after after the actual concert. So I wanted to make myself known. so I was able to do that. I sang "God Bless a Child," and I picked that song because. There's always these comparisons from Cesaria to Billie Holiday in terms of the way they can transmit a song, the way they bring a song forward, and because Billie Holiday would sing these sort of bluesy kind of songs, and Cesaria was known for the moderna, so I chose that song. Specifically for that reason. And after I was done singing the song, I pretty much had an invitation for the next year. So 2014, I got to go to KabuJazz Festival, and I sang with a group, the Carlos Mendes Quartet, and they are based in Portugal, Porto, I want to say.
Okay.
And so they brought, and he's a Cape Verdean jazz musician in Portugal. So they brought him and his group, and they put me together with his group, and we did a show together in 2014. And the song I was talking to you about earlier, Minha Terra Cabo Verde, I got to sing that song. Along with a few others, we did a lot of jazz tunes. I did also Afro Blue, which is off of my CD as well. One of my standard songs that I do all the time is Summertime, so I got to do that one. I did, I think, Take the A Train. So I did a few really cool jazz tunes. And that was really an amazing, that was just such an amazing experience to be able to do that. And again, explain, and by 2014, my Creole had gotten better.
So you were ready to conquer the world.
So I was ready to, so I was able to, to speak about Minha Terra Cabo Verde in the same kind of way that I spoke about, Cabo Verde un dia, that just that longing, that wanting to come to my country. And by that time, 2014, now that was like my fourth trip to Cabo Verde at that point. But
now, let me ask you a question, because I know how the Cape Verdean community can be very traditionalist. How was your music accepted amongst the older generation, the generation that immigrated to the U.S.?
That's an interesting question.
And I ask this because I've seen other experiences.
Yeah. I think it's been, I would say it's mainly it's done well. But I've had some folks not sure. I've heard inklings of people saying, "Well, that's not Cape Verdean music." I've heard that.
But I'm sure that's to be expected.
Yeah, and
because it's a new
not.
fusion.
It's not, in a sense. It's rooted in what I know. I did not grow there. I did not grow up there. That's not my experience. So I can't give you the same experience as someone who was born and raised in Cabo Verde. I can't do that. I can only give you my experience. And a lot of the CD is, some of it is, what I remember, and then some of it is, what I'm learning. Like when I went to doing through being at UMass Dartmouth, and wanting and starting to fuse these two things together, I started listening to newer Cape Verdean music, which is how I discovered the Batuque through listening to Luda. I started listening to Maria de Barros. Of course, I had already been listening to people like Cesaria, and I grew up with people like Bana. So just kind of bringing all of those people together, and then the jazz. I can only give you my experience.
Absolutely. But I'm sure others of your generation and others that were already born here in the U.S. really identify with what you sing.
Yeah, so especially like, again, Cabo Verde un dia, if I had a hit.
If it is.
Well, it's a hit in New Bedford, I guess.
There we go.
But if I had a Cape Verdean hit song, that would be it. If there was any song that would win me some kind of accolade, that would be it. Because I've actually had people use it as sort of backdrops for trips that they've taken to Cabo Verde for the first time. I have a cousin of mine, Tarby Richards, who he was in the military at the time when the song first came out, and his next leave, and I can't remember exactly when it was, but his next leave, he ended up going to Cabo Verde for the first time, and so that was his theme song was, Cabo Verde un dia. And interestingly enough, there are people that do know the song, and it does make its way to Cape Verdean radio every once in a while.
Yeah.
You know, over the last 12 years, it's made its way. And I've actually had some people tell me that, you know, they've gotten on, I don't know, a bus in Cape Verde or whatever, and they heard me on the radio.
That's great.
So, you know, I guess folks in Cape Verde know me, and the folks here, folks in New Bedford know me, but nobody in between. I don't know.
Now, you have had the opportunity of performing outside the area too,
Yeah.
in different states.
Yes.
So how were those experiences? Because at that point now you're not performing for Cape Verdeans, you're not performing for Cape Verdean Americans, you're just performing for music lovers.
For people, right. So I've had many. I got to sing in Hawaii,
Oh,
in
wow.
Alaska. I was representing the Whaling Museum. It was a program, it was called the ECHO program. It was Education through Cultural and Historical Organizations. And at the time, it was a program that was funded through the federal government through the No Child Left Behind Act. And it brought together these organizations across the country that were sort of connected through whaling. Right, so you had the Bishop Museum in Hawaii, you had the Alaska Native Heritage Center in Alaska, and you had the Barrows, Alaska, I can't remember the exact name, but it was a Heritage Center in Barrows, Alaska. You had the Peabody Essex Museum in Salem, Mass, that was also part of that. And what they did was they brought together cultural ambassadors, I guess, from the indigenous people of Hawaii and Alaska, and the Wampanoag Native Americans, and Cape Verde. I was a resident Cape Verdean, and we did a production, like a 45-minute production, and we went to all of these different places. And what was really cool was the last time, so I did it in 2007, 2008, and 2009. And it was really cool because people were eager to learn about all of these different cultures that were different but had similarities too. And so I got to sing songs like Sodad, and I got to teach about Batuk and different things like that. So 2007, 2008, 2009, and in 2009, I was able to bring a Cape Verdean band to Alaska.
Oh, wow.
To perform, and that was a wonderful experience. I mean, to see folks in Alaska, doing Batuk, it was really kind of cool.
Those are amazing experiences when you can share your talent and show your culture to others that have never experienced it. It's always a wonderful experience. Going forward, well, before talking about going forward, I know you recently performed for the mayor of Brava.
Yes.
He was just here not too long ago.
Right.
How was that?
It was amazing. He visited Harwich, so of course there's so many different Cape Verdean communities in this area, and Harwich is probably one of the least known. And so I think they're starting to come up, and so Harwich invited the Presidente, the mayor, to go to Harwich. He gave a presentation of all the things that he's doing in Harwich, and I think one of my claims to fame these days is I sing both the U.S. and the Cape Verdean national anthems. And I've been doing that now for several years. So like even for the Cape Verdean recognition parade that we have in July, when we do the flag raising ceremony, I'm usually the one that's singing for that. And so I was asked to come and sing, and I've sang for the Harwich Festival before. So they knew of my work, and they asked if I could honor them and honor the president of Cape Verde by coming down and singing the national anthems, both the U.S. and the Cape Verdean anthem. And then I finished when the program was done, I sang Cabo Verdean.
There we go. So. And it was a special experience. He's the president of Câmara of the island that your dad was from?
That my father was from, absolutely.
Which is wonderful.
Yeah.
And your family name is Baptista, right?
Baptista, yes.
Candida
yes.
Baptista.
Yes. So
Very
it's
good.
Candida Rose Baptista. That's my full name. Candida Rose Baptista. I'm actually named after my grandmother and my great aunt. So my first and my middle name is Candida Rose. But of course, musically, that's how I'm known. But I do want people to know that my last name is Baptista.
Would you say that any one person influenced what is your career today in music?
Oh my goodness, I can't say any one person, no, because I have so many people in my life. You know, my teachers, my mentors. I'm going to get verklempt. It's hard to say because if I start naming names, I'm going to forget somebody. And then if I forget somebody, someone's feelings going to get hurt, and I don't want that. And I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
Absolutely.
So just know that I love all the people who have even just said a wonderful thing to me. Like I said, my teachers at UMass Dartmouth, UMass Boston, but even the people before I went to school. You know, from the time I was, I don't know, 70s, 80s, people who discovered. I have folks that kind of discovered me and made me sing while I was, a teenager. And there's so many. I can't. It's hard to name one person.
Any performances coming up? Public
Yes.
performances. I know the constant nursing home
Right.
and all of those centers. Those are on a weekly basis.
That's weekly, daily, yes.
But
Right.
any public performances coming up?
Yeah. So on the 15th.
This Sunday coming up?
Yes. I will be performing with a group that I've been performing with for the last maybe 5 or so years now. We're doing, it's called the Ladies in Jazz concert. It's in Haverhill though, so it's not around here. But that particular concert I've been doing probably for about 10 years. And up sort of like 5 years in, I had, there's always ladies, so I'm always calling on different women to come and perform with me. But then I asked one of the women, her name is Tal Shalom Colby. She's a wonderful, wonderful bass player, and she was working with a group. Actually, she was working with a Cape Verdean singer called Lucinia for a little while, and so they started to join me on this particular concert, and it's kind of grown since then. We do lots of different things around in libraries and educational things. We focus on women composers from all around the world. So it's jazz, but it's also world music. So it's a wonderful thing. So that's happening on Sunday, and I can't even remember all of the things I've got going on. Oh, in October 6th, I'm going to be performing with one of my dear friends, Santos Spencer, and Heriba Estrella. We're going to be doing an international food festival in Norwich, Connecticut.
One.
So, yeah.
So plenty on your plate.
Yes. No pun intended,
no pun
right?
intended, right? So, Candida, the last song we're going to hear, I think I'm going to request Minha Terra Cabo Verde.
Minha Terra Cabo Verde, okay.
If you don't mind, so we'll listen to that. And thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you so much, Ricardo, for having me. This has been such an honor. It's been too long.
Yeah, absolutely.
But thank you so much.
Pronto, senhoras e senhores, aqui no palco da Hora Quente, com o tema Minha Terra Cabo Verde, temos Candida Rose.
Anda comer boa comida, anda papia língua, mas nunca oja. Minha terra, Cabo Verde, tem família que nasce lá, tem família que morre lá, mas nunca vou pena. Minha terra, Cabo Verde, ante comer boa comida, ante papiar boa língua, mas nunca oja. Minha terra, Cabo Verde, tem família que nasce lá, tem família que morre lá, mas nunca vou pena. Minha terra, Cabo Verde, como alguém te tem saudade para cabelo nunca vai, para morto coração te chora, para país ele nunca já, mas esperança tá na mim, já não sabe como dia antes cortar na beira-mar de Cabo Verde, antes comer boa comida, antes papiar língua, mas nunca oja. Minha terra, Cabo Verde. Tem saudade para cabelo nunca vai, como o coração te chora, para país ele nunca já, mas esperança tá na mim, já não sabe como dia antes cortar na beira-mar de Cabo Verde, antes comer boa comida, antes papiar boa língua, mas nunca oja. Minha terra, Cabo Verde.
That was beautiful. Senhoras e senhores, Candida Rose, thank you so much for coming on the
Obrigada,
program.
thank you so much.
Obrigado. All the best to you. I wish you abraço. I wish you all the best.
Thank you
and
so much.
we'll keep hearing great
Thank you
things
so
from
much
you.
for having me
It
here
was my
today.
pleasure.
I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you so
This
very
is
much.
an honor and a blessing.
It was an
Thank
honor
you.
to have you on, such a talented artist. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. E assim, meus amigos, chegamos ao final de mais uma Hora Quente. Voltaremos amanhã. Amanhã não, segunda-feira, com mais para si. Bom fim de semana. Tchau, tchau.